Let me start with a simple question. When was the last time you searched for something? Really searched. Not on Google, not on a map, not in a chat window. I ask because we live in a time where search has become a single click. You type a few words, and the world of algorithms rushes to answer you. Yet, in this flood of answers, how much do we truly discover? I'm Vivek Vijayakumaran, a theatre practitioner and a performance trailer. My search happens almost every day, but not through code or algorithms, but through the human body, through voice, through breath, and silence. We might discover what gives value to the world we live in. What AI and theatre have in common, and what they don't. AI searches to find results, and is extraordinary at it. Faster, sharper, endlessly efficient. But theatre searches to feel, to connect, to uncover what's alive. Whether I'm training actors or developing a scene, what I'm searching for is not always for the right emotion or right action, but for what feels true in that moment. Something that has a pulse, that feels alive. It could be in the trembling of a hand, in a moment of hesitation, in a silence that suddenly feels charged. It could be messy, it could be slow, it could be full of detours. But that's also how discovery happens in the theatre. In the act of staying with something until it reveals itself. The search in theatre. Let me take you into a rehearsal space. 10 people stand in a circle, eyes closed, the silence. We listen to our breath. Someone shifts the weight. Someone exhales. We begin to move. One step, one sound, one gesture, each responding to what one can sense. And in those moments, something invisible begins to happen. A shared rhythm, a shared awareness, a thread that moves between bodies. And that's the moment where we feel held together. We're not searching for information. We're searching for a relationship. And that's what I mean by searching differently. In the theatre, every moment, every gesture, every pause, every silence is an invitation. An actor just does not listen to their own impulse, but to the pulse of others. How energy travels through the room, how attention shifts, how presence deepens. In a rehearsal space, we learn to notice and respond, to listen with the entirety of our bodies. And this kind of search doesn't end in data, it ends in connection. It reminds us that we're all linked as performers, audience, and humans. AI collects patterns, theatre collects people. And in doing so, it reminds us to live and not just to function. Theatre teaches us that relationships are not something we build once. It's something we practice over time. And maybe that's the kind of practice the world needs more of today. A practice of slowing down. In a world where everything is urging us to react, theatre teaches us to respond. Theatre as a shared experience. Theatre at its heart is a shared experience. It cannot exist in any. It always needs people to come together in a space, in a moment of attention. But what's also beautiful about theatre, that it's people and space agnostic. It can happen anywhere, in an open field, in a dimly lit classroom, on the street corner, or even in a virtual space. And yet, wherever it happens, it has the capacity to unfold something profound. It can tell us that our sense of belonging is not limited to our familiar world. It can be much bigger. Last month, I had performed my play It Is You at a small town called Gudalur in the Nilgiris. It's a play that has no spoken language and runs for about 60 minutes. Our audiences that evening included young adults, people from the NGO sector, and members from the local Adivasi communities. There were no more words between us, only sound, music, movement, and silence. And yet, at the end of it, something remarkable had happened. Not because they understood a story, but because they felt something together. I've seen this happen in plays with words too. When a line is spoken with truth, when a gesture carries clarity of intent, something shifts in the space. The words don't matter. The words may differ, but the connection is the same. And in those moments, theatre stops being just a performance and becomes a shared experience. Theatre can create spaces for anyone, no matter what background, and can become a part of a shared rhythm. And in those moments, it reminds us that our sense of belonging is not always about where we come from, but what we are willing to be present to. And theatre can give us that presence. Theatre can offer us spaces that are held, cultivated, and nurtured by all kinds of people. People who are interested in connection. A connection that can cut through any boundary, any distance, any kind of separation that exists out there. And that, for me, is the real search in theatre. A search for connection beyond difference. The joy of labor and the unknown. In the world we live now, speed has become a kind of god, isn't it? We want everything fast. Fast answers, quick delivery, fast success. But theatre is allowed to be slow. It asks for repetition, for waiting, for labor. An actor might spend hours rehearsing a single scene, a single action. Yes, it can feel like a struggle. It's not easy. We don't pretend it is. But there's a reason why what we do is also called a play. We all like to play, don't we? Maybe not every game, but the games in which we find some joy, some fun, some spark, those are the games we want to keep playing, isn't it? The joy that we get from that sense of play is our fuel in the theatre. That's what helps us persist. And this joy doesn't come or is not limited to just those moments when we get something right. It also comes by being in the company of others who are also playing with you. So discussions through different points of view, through tea breaks, through cooking and eating a meal together. And over time, when we keep showing up like this, the process reveals something valuable, almost like a gift. A quiet gift of what it means to create. In a world where we are seeking quick gratification all the time, swiping through reels, jumping from one feed to another, theatre reminds us in the joy of effort. In a world that is constantly asking us to react, theatre reminds us to respond. Theatre tells us that what we create with our own hands, our breath, and our sweat has its own sacredness. In the theatre, we don't eliminate the unknown, we invite it. The unknown is a very important ingredient in the theatre. To not know is part of the game. Well, think of any game. What keeps it exciting is when we don't know what's coming up next, isn't it? And yes, we know what the play is about, we know what the story is, we know what the characters are, we know show dates, we know what logistics need to be in place. But what we do not know is the how. How do we create meaning for ourselves and for our audiences through this play? How do we turn words on a page into something that has feelings and can be alive? By searching, in the sense of play, or curiosity. Searching for meaning, what it means to be human in the world right now, what it meant for those before us, what it could mean for people who will come after us. And we search with this instrument that we all share, the entirety of our bodies, our stories. So how to search differently? What can theatre teach us, all of us, in these times of rapid change dominated by the virtual? I feel theatre can essentially teach us three ways of being, ways that are deeply human and profoundly relevant today. Openness and discernment. To be open to new tastes, to see, to look, to hold another person's hand, to make space for others, to feel, to empathize, and yet to discern what's true for you. That's what good actors do. That's what the humans must also possibly do. To find balance between what's known and what's unknown, between certainty and curiosity. And maybe that's the real profit in theatre. Not money or fame, but the wealth of presence, empathy, and connection. Listening as an act of receiving, not just with our ears, but with our entire body. Theatre trains us to listen to tone, to breath, to silence, to that which is unspoken. Real listening requires stillness. What it means is to listen, to receive without judgment, without preconceived ideas. Listening for the joy of listening. And when we listen like that, we begin to see each other again as new, whole, complex beings, and not just profiles or fictions. Suppleness of body and mind. For an actor, that's everything. A stiff body cannot express itself effectively. A rigid mind cannot imagine. Suppleness meaning not just flexibility, but to be in a state of readiness, to respond, to adapt, to flow. In nature too, this is true, isn't it? A tree that bends in the storm survives. Water finds its way through obstacles. The supple live on, the rigid break. But even if you break, remember that you can always transform and be born anew. There is always hope in the theatre. Increasingly polarized, algorithmically filtered world, suppleness can be a form of wisdom. So yes, AI will continue to learn faster than us, search better, collect quicker, predict more. But what theatre reminds us is that life is an experience to be lived and shared. And that experience needs our full attention, with our senses, our body, our presence. So the next time you think of searching, maybe you don't have to reach for your phone right away. Reach for a place where you can practice theatre. Because the world doesn't just need faster searches, it also needs deeper ones.